music isn't coming through now. There it is.
I love this. Oh. We're here on a Sunday. So happy Sunday. Welcome.
On a Sunday.
Just hanging out, doing our thing. This is my busy day, so it's where I can only stream for a few hours. So we try to make the most of it on Sundays. But we're just chilling out. Y'all can come on if you want.
Well, apparently, I guess we're going to be saying goodbye to iFi today, is what I understand.
That's what he said, but I don't know what that's about. Like, it could just be him being dramatic.
Yeah, probably so.
So iFi, if you're out there, come and tell us what that's all about. You going out in the woods again?
He said he's going back. He said he's going back to the woods. So I guess like that implies that he actually was formerly living in the woods and now.
Well, he has a bunker in the woods or something. But I thought he was streaming out of that.
I thought that was hyperbole, to be honest. I
took him completely seriously.
Well, I mean, I took it seriously to the degree
because he seemed like the bunker type. I could totally see him having a bunker in the woods.
Yeah. I didn't think that he was like on sabbatical from the bunker. I figured that was like, that was his goal or something. I didn't think of it as like.
Oh
yeah.
Well, iFi, come and help us sort it out.
Yeah, because I don't understand, man. You need to come explain this to me. I'm too dumb to understand your deep.
But yeah, we'll have a party for you, like to send you away. Yeah, we'll have a party.
I mean, you haven't been here that long, but still, I mean, I will. I wish you weren't like disappearing on us already, but whatever.
No, we'll give you a bye girl party.
Bye girl.
Girl, bye. All right, let's see. I haven't checked news or Twitter, but I'm assuming nothing's going on.
No, Short Final Talker released an interesting video about liberalism, at least in this, I guess this.
If the headline is Nikki Haley, I know I don't have to scroll very far past that. So there's nothing going on news-wise.
Oh yeah, that's just fine. I joked with the Short Final Talker video. I was like, no, I don't think it had anything to do with that. No, but yeah, if it's about Nikki Haley, you're right. You don't have to go very far past that. Oh yeah, I want to read a lot about this woman who's definitely never going to be president.
They say DeSantis is done too, that he's not going to recover either.
Yeah, I mean, DeSantis had a good little bit there, but yeah, he kind of he kind of did himself in my opinion, but not really because of anything he did. He does not perform well in the debates or anything like that. He doesn't come across like it seemed like before he was running for president, he seemed a lot more charismatic, a lot more. He seemed to have. It seems like once the presidential the presidential handler type people that run the elections. It seems like once those people got a hold of him, he got a lot more stiff, a lot more just the pressure or something maybe got to him. I don't know, but he became a lot more charmless and unlikable. I think overall. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to. It wasn't I don't think he's bad or anything per se, but I totally see what people are not seeing in him these days. He doesn't he just doesn't exude anything particularly. I used to back whenever he first came on the scene, I was I thought he had a real shot because he seemed pretty.
Yeah, I did. I was a DeSantis. He made a DeSantis man out of me, and I was surprised because.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, did you see his recent? I mean, I only saw clips. I didn't see the whole thing. Granted, I'm not wasting my time watching an entire Republican presidential debate.
I didn't get any red flags from him at all. But that probably means he's a sociopath or a narcissist.
I respect that self-awareness that you're talking about there. That's the same self-awareness that I try to achieve, but I rarely ever do. Oh, God.
Tonight we have a bunch of shows we watch on the Discord. If you're interested in Drag Race at all. They have the new season starting, and Chris and I watched that privately. But you're welcome to join. And what else? Oh, the Dutch Mole. Each Sunday they put out a new episode, so the new season's running. We meet on Discord for that, and then later on this evening is True Detective.
Yeah, we watched we watched episode 1 of the new season.
We're only one episode in, so there's plenty of time to catch up, and that'll be at some random time in the evening, probably around 9:00 Central ish. So that's the party schedule for today.
Yes, indeed.
And if you need the invite to the Discord, just contact one of us.
Or you can always, even if you don't want to come on the show, if you just need to, if you just want to get the thing real fast, just come on to the like hit the StreamYard link. Say, just type in the private chat like, hey, I'm not trying to come on. I just want the Discord link or something. Just let something like that. We can send it to your private chat. We just don't want it fully public because there are a lot of trolls out there that would.
Yes. The trolls.
I mean, we can always remove them from the Discord if they get in there, but still, it's easier not to. So. Yeah, I think thankfully that is true. I always forget that Discord links expire. So like if you don't
because they changed the setting. It's hard to keep a permanent link anymore.
Yeah, so it's not like if they got the link once they could always get it back. So but still it's better to be more careful with that, I guess. Anyway.
So anyway, yeah, we do have a Discord, so get with us for that. It has its own little cinema.
Yeah, I was watching movies in there a lot for a while, but not many people are showing up. But I haven't watched anything here lately. I haven't really seen any movies that were intriguing me too much here lately. But there's a couple of things that I'm thinking about watching here sometime soon. But it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch it with any of the viewers out there. It's always I find it, as someone who grew up largely in like. I'm trying to think of how to say this, like, not that there's like a bad way to say it, I guess, but I'm trying to just like as someone who grew up like with a lot of roommates and stuff like that, like when I first moved out, and also I had siblings and stuff. Like, I don't know, I personally don't mind like watching. I like watching movies with people, even if it's on mute and everything. Like someone just to talk about the movie with for a minute afterwards. I don't know. I enjoy that myself personally. So. Yeah, there really is not anything, like I said, like Short of Fight Out Taco put out a video about liberalism and about like how him and Carl Benjamin's views on liberalism are that liberalism is something that basically leads to the kind of woke stuff that
we're
experiencing. Yeah,
hey,
Sargon.
Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
No, we've had liberalism just fine without this extreme progressivism. I don't know how it
I don't agree with his overall thesis of the video, but at the same time, he makes some good points. I will say he makes some good points. He's basically just saying that he himself he considers himself to be a proponent of liberalism as well, and also that he considers himself to be a liberal person, but at the same time he thinks that he considers himself to be a liberal conservative, which at one point in the political discourse would have been considered I don't know, what do you call it? Would have been considered contradictory, but I think these days we've all kind of come to the understanding that the idea of liberalism
not when you're trying to conserve liberalism.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the thing that needs conserving.
Yeah, basically his point ultimately in the video comes out to be that he's talking about how like that, the ultimate ideals of liberalism in terms of like, a society where there is no real, where there are no, as long as no one's hurting anybody else, they can do whatever they want, kind of thing, can lead to some particularly like kind of disturbing scenarios if you follow it far enough. But I mean, I think that's kind of an unfair criticism too.
But I also think that's a caricature of liberalism. I don't think that's an accurate representation of what liberalism is.
Principally speaking, it is.
It's like a thought experiment of what if you took it to the extreme. But what you're selecting as the extreme is just just one facet of liberalism and not even the predominant one.
Yeah, I agree. That's basically what I'm saying is that I don't think that it's a fair criticism because I think that any system, with the exception of maybe a few extremist oriented ones that require absolute purity, like socialism and communism, stuff like that, that require that everyone be in line with the system in order for it to even work. With the exception of those, I think any kind of system of government or societal kind of concept requires some concept of common sense moderation of the thing, like that of people not doing things to, I mean, just like the idea of like legalizing all drugs or whatever. I mean, that only really works if you are depending on the majority of the population anyway, even if not all of them, the majority of the population at least, to understand that this is that you're being trusted with your own health and your own life, your own body, and that by allowing
You
that,
you can't
that
you
you're
can't control what they understand. I mean, you could put out like have an education budget and put out a few messages, but you
no, you can't control what they understand. That's not what
like
I'm
if you're going to
saying.
legalize them, but don't make it depend on getting a certain amount of people to understand or be educated about something.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but like the very idea of doing such a thing kind of presumes that not every single person in the country is going to immediately become a heroin addict. That it kind of presumes that, because if that's really what you expect to happen, it does not make any sense to do it. If that's the actual expectation that every single person
Like
will suddenly
suddenly
become,
everyone's going to go get addicted to heroin, like
yeah,
me and
if I'm,
you and
I'm
our
sa-
moms
yeah,
and all of our
exactly.
friends.
I'm saying
It's
if that was the actual expectation of that, which is kind of what his video is kind of taking like this extreme view of, is basically that, like, that eventually liberalism taken at its extreme at its core principles
this
will always
it's a
lead to some degree of.
that's why I said it's a cartoon. Like if
Yeah,
that's the
I
scenario
disagree
you
with
have
it.
to use as your case, then it seems like a very distorted version of liberalism.
No, no, I agree. I think
We're all
it's
going to
a
go start sticking needles in our arms because of freedom.
I think that his video is worth watching because it does kind of function as more of like a thought experiment type of thing, like where he's just saying that if you follow it to its most extreme examples, it's not a bad video, but like I must admit, like I've watched a lot of videos from him, and this one was one that I particularly like. I found flaw in right away. Basically, I guess Carl Benjamin and sort of Sargon, and James Lindsay got into a Twitter spat that prompted the whole thing,
Like
and
recent.
basically, yeah, it just happened just the other day, and I guess James Lindsay ultimately ended up blocking Carl Benjamin because of it, and he didn't, and I have to say,
Wow.
like,
Some drama.
James Lindsay did not act like a very mature, intelligent person in his exchange with him. Even though I on Lindsay's side ultimately on what he was saying, his actual response, Benjamin's responses were much more like measured and seemed much more reasonable than Lindsay. Lindsay came off kind of like a petulant child about the whole thing, which is very strange. I mean,
Well,
and basically,
he's spurred though.
yeah, I guess it's true.
Like
He's kind of
I think a
he's
lot
kind of
of
got
Lindsay
one thing.
makes sense to me in a way it might not with other people. But
No, I agree.
I don't see a lot of the Lindsay stuff. My biggest criticism of him is he's ignorant about some of the things like he has these he adopts weird beliefs and then it throws off what he's able like the kind of truth he's able to make of all the stuff he's reading. He does that with
I think
Gnosticism.
yeah, he does.
I think he's a conspiracist or like on the edge of it.
He tries
So
really
he
hard not to
engages
be,
in
but
some of the same thinking that I criticize on here, except he's smart enough. He looks smart enough not to, but he still
mhm.
does, and I don't know why he doesn't see it. And so that's my only criticism against him. But it's nothing about his
I mean,
personality
be-
or how he comes
because
across or whatever.
I've watched enough of his stuff to know that it's the reason that he would disagree with that criticism that he's being a conspiracy theorist is
Well,
because he would say that he's not talking about conspiracy. He's
I
talking
know
about
they
things
all
that
do. He disagrees the
yeah,
same way all the other ones disagree.
yeah, that's true. And
But I don't
yeah,
think they're really making a mental picture in their head of what I'm trying to say so they can compare the two and evaluate and then give me an honest response. I think it's like knee jerk defense more than anything else.
no, I agree with you. I completely do. Lindsay's a really interesting character, but I think that I find the same. I think he has the same problem that you come into with, and it's weird because like with me and you, we're lay people. We have opinions on this stuff. We talk about stuff that we don't have any. I mean, we have some expertise in some things, but like at the same time, like we don't have any. We don't have we don't have the expertise perhaps in some of the things that we always talk about either. But at the same time, we're also not like these highly respected people in our specific
Yeah, I don't
field.
claim expertise at all. I
Right.
have experience in mental health, and I have experience in
Right.
education, particularly with like neurodivergent type people and mostly youth and men. But it shouldn't be taken as I'm an expert in it at all. I don't ever
No,
make that
yeah,
claim.
I know, but I've noticed that with Jordan Peterson and James Lindsay, both like Jordan Peterson, of course, was a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever. He's a professor and academic in that field, and then Lindsay also being a brilliant mathematician. The fact anytime like guys like that are at that level of in their specific specialty or expertise start trying to go into other areas that they are not particularly like as well versed in, they end up coming across a little like they end up having like that same kind of attitude or they have this air of authority about them about things that they don't have as much grounding to speak in. Like anytime Peterson gets into politics or anything like that, I mean, even though I sometimes still agree with him on that stuff too, I think that he's out of his depth to a degree, and I think that ultimately creates a negative kind of feedback loop is where he ends up starts acting like a child on Twitter and stuff like that. And I think the same thing with Lindsay. Like Lindsay is a mathematician, he's an academic of a different stripe than the area that he's actually delving into right now. And I think that kind of reflects poorly on him whenever he starts getting into some of these like areas of things that he doesn't really have, like Gnosticism or something like that, where he's speaking about something that it's really not his only. It's really not something that I'm not saying he can't have an opinion. I'm not saying he's not smart enough, but he's applying his academic rigor from being a
I
mathematician
think
into that.
there's subject matters where he's less rigorous. And that's my
Yeah,
criticism. It's not consistent. Like his Spurg rationality is not consistent. There's little
yeah,
peaks and valleys to it. Most like the valleys are what I can't take seriously. But I can separate though what to take seriously from James Lindsay and what not to. He doesn't determine that for me. I
sure,
can
yeah.
do that with most people. I know when they're drifting off into conspiracy land and when they're talking about something that makes sense.
See, that's one of the new avatars that I pulled last night.
Oh,
That
it
that's,
looks
that one looks pretty cool.
like Hunter S. Thompson meets the village people.
Yeah, I worked on a couple. I kept trying to work on one for you too, and like the closest I've gotten was still like one that you've already seen. It has a real problem trying to do your short hair, like your hair as short as it is. It wants to give you way more hair, and no matter
That
what I
makes me
tell it,
feel good though that the AI has a problem capturing me.
no matter what I do, I can't get it. I can't get it to get the right amount of gray or like mixture of salt and pepper, kind of like look in my beard. I can't seem to get it to understand that it wants to give me either all black or all white
Too much
beard
pepper,
beard
too
hair.
much salt.
Yeah, to
Jack,
one of the
yeah,
one or
we
two.
just talked about James and what I like the parts about him where he makes sense, and I dislike the parts about it where I think he's off on some conspiracy tangents. But I was saying that's the same I feel about everybody. It's nothing special about James Lindsay himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I was saying that I think he's very similar to Peterson in that sense that he's
Yeah, so I don't like him or hate him more than I like or hate any other human.
I think when Peterson is talking about the things that he's really well versed in, when he's talking about psychology or he's talking about like things like in maps of meaning type stuff, he's a brilliant person, and I think he does do really good job at giving people like some basic life advice type stuff. His basic self help stuff is really good, but anytime he gets into the weeds of politics or the weeds of like various type of things, he starts to like lose his fucking like he loses his grounding somewhat, and I think the frustration of that leads them both to kind of like end up like saying things and doing things that kind of make them look like little children sometimes, and like that's the
That's the
issue,
autism.
right? Yeah,
Like I have that too. Socially, emotionally, we can be underdeveloped.
Yeah. I never really I never really thought about Peterson as being particularly autistic, but I guess you're
That's
right. He
like
does
some of
have a
the
lot.
trolls on here, even people like Tommy. You see the same
Yeah,
phenomenon, just in a more like compressed, intensified view.
it's a good point. I hadn't really I never really thought of them through that lens of like seeing them as like like being on the spectrum out to that degree, but they probably
Yeah,
are.
Spurg rage. I can tell Spurg rage from actual rage to worry about, but Spurg rage is scary to people that don't recognize it.
And I
In
tell you
fact,
what,
I mistook it for meth a few times.
yeah, well, in some cases it is math, but yeah.
Oh, hey, Redington.
uh, yeah. Hey, Red. I was just talking to Redington on Discord anyway.
You can come up if you
Um,
want. We're just
yeah,
today's our shorter stream. We'll go for about another hour and a half,
yeah.
and then But yeah, you're welcome to come hang out. That's all we're doing. I was on Machines last night, and they start talking about William Blake, and they made the claim that he's a mystic, and he's not, and romanticism, and I had a lot of misconceptions to clear about that. But I told Machine I would do it on a show or wait for a day where he could come and talk about it.
Yeah,
But yeah, Northern Pride. I keep going on about this book. It's the one I want to do a book club on. Fearful Symmetry. It's a study of William Blake, and it talks about all of that. He even has a
Sup?
Hey, man.
chapter in the back. General note: Blake's mysticism, specifically on Blake's and the difference between his poetry and mysticism. So I tried to make that point on Machines last night, and then it generated into this big discussion about romanticism and philosophy and art and literature in general. So if anybody that shows up that's interested in that, I could do that today, but I was kind of saving it for Machine.
You should probably save it for him.
Yeah, it sounds like something that Machine would have some interesting things to say on anyway. I mean, he could always come on here too, but he's probably tired from. I'm hoping he's actually sleeping after
I
doing
hope he
his
is too. I hope
stream.
he's anytime
Same.
he's sleeping. I hope he's doing
I
it.
haven't seen him respond to anything, so he's probably asleep.
I know he had to restream, like he got bombed or something last night. He had to restream.
Yeah. Writing was the one that's saying that. Yeah.
I was
Oh,
there. I was there when it happened.
Nobody we recognize.
No, I think it was probably a fake profile picture, and I didn't recognize the voice. And he feigned like he was kind of interested, like in his channel, but then like a couple minutes later, it happened. So
Hey,
it was
Chuck.
really lame.
Damn.
Yeah. What kind of porn bombing was it this time?
It was almost the same thing. It was like peeing.
You're right.
Peeing.
Yes, that's what that's penis. It was a penis.
Oh, peeing.
Peeing.
Peeing?
Oh,
The
peeing. It was
urinating?
peeing.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
urinating.
I thought you said peen like penis. Sorry.
Oh
I
no.
apologize. That's particularly.
So I'm wondering if it was like the
childish.
same person from last time because they have like a theme going or something.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Well, there is that one conspiracy that there's some people that are in cahoots behind the scenes that kind of coordinate and play off of each other. But
I don't know
that's a
about
scale
that,
small enough to actually have a conspiracy theory that's credible.
I mean, he's
So we don't know how
definitely made
much of this is
enemies.
like maybe more than one person.
He's definitely
Yeah.
made enemies, so it's possible. But
I don't know.
some of them, I don't think they would go this long. You know, it's been months since the drama from a while ago.
Machine is so chill and I don't know how anybody makes enemies out of Machine.
He can be unchill sometimes. So
Oh, see, that's that spurts I was talking about earlier, where I guess I know how to take. I know how to.
Hey,
like
Gary.
last night, in the second stream, Mitch came on and they're talking about some stream from Bunny like Friday, and they got pretty heated. I only caught like a little bit of it because I was conking out.
Bunny, a
I
stream with Bunny got heated.
no,
Yeah,
no.
imagine that.
Mitch and TML got heated with each other about
Oh
that
wow!
stream that Mitch was on with Bunny. I mean, it's all this drama, man. Just It's kind of like it's just a distraction.
Jack, come up and talk. Tell us about him.
Yeah,
It's and the ideas. There's a lot of TML was covering a lot of stuff last night on the channel with all Islam and the modernization of certain ideologies and stuff. But I don't know what particular point like would be grounds for the bomb. Like, what were they after that people they don't want people to see? Like, I don't know. It's like, how can you prove?
that is the problem with, like, I think that's the thing that it's a thing that I feel like would eventually probably will happen to myself and Jeff's stream probably at
Wait,
some
what's
day
gonna
will
happen?
probably happen. Yeah, we'll probably have people that try to do this similar type thing because people react very strongly to anyone who's an iconoclast in any kind of way, where they attach themselves to any kind of, like, TML is a Muslim, but he also is someone who's very critical of Islam in a lot of ways, and so you end up pissing off the people that are both anti-Muslim and the people that are pro-Muslim. So you end up pissing off a large group of people. I myself, like, as someone who calls himself a Gnostic Christian to some degree, I piss off mystics, I piss off Christians, I piss off, it pisses off, like, it pisses off all of the groups that normally you would appeal to one of them, but instead you end up finding yourself, like, at the mercy of, like, all the sides, because only people that are actually on your level, that are actually thinking the same way you are and thinking critically about things, which is, like, not most people, are going. And it's the same thing with Jeff. Jeff is a Satanist. um Jeff is a Satanist, but he's non-theistic. He has his own version, his own conception of it. So, if there were like people, all the people that would claim to be Satanists in today's, like, environment, if they came on and listened to Jeff, they would probably
I
think
wish
that
they
he's a
would. We're trying to get viewers.
yeah. I mean, I know, but I'm saying, but they would probably find your views on Satanism to be both, like, anti their beliefs, and also at the same time you also get yeah, labels fail, Gary. Good point. Yeah, they tend to it tends to piss off everybody instead of just pissing off one side or the other, and that's why you get people that get so passionate about people like TML and such, because, like, he's an iconoclast in nature, in terms of the fact that he's not interested in revering something simply because it's been revered in the past.
So he's like a
Interested.
symbol to them of something that they
Yeah, it's
wrestle
like,
with.
well, exactly. I mean, I mean,
That's so stupid.
that's what my name, my handle name comes from. Satyricon Glass is like Satyricon is the original, is the oldest novel known to man. It's also where the term satire comes from. Also, the satire is, like, also, like, the same thing. You have Satyr's Grove, for example, like, is, like, also a character in mythology. And then iconoclast is just something that, I'm a big fan of iconoclasm in general. I like thinkers and speakers that are interested in interrogating ideas instead of simply revering them, but just because they're icons in whatever, in their particular field, or whatever, in their particular belief system. And, like, that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like that. If they don't, it's like they don't know how to feel about you, because they're not, like, even though, like, they feel like, well, you're supposed to be on our side, but then you say things critical of it, so therefore you must be, like, a Fed or an agent or something like that. And that's where all the conspiracyist kind of thing comes from. People that normally wouldn't even be conspiracy theorists, I think.
Right, but like most people aren't going to be watching TML stream because like too long didn't read. Basically, they don't have the intent. They've been we've been pretty much uh been dumbed down and addicted to TikTok or whatever. It's like if you can't make a point in like the first minute or something, people are lost their attention span. Um, so like I don't see what exactly what was the point of the attack. Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Isn't it to get their streams taken down?
Yeah, it is, but like
Oh
what
yeah, but
what
yeah, the attack.
content does this person or persons not want the general public to see? Yeah,
Them
unless
peeing, I
it's just
guess.
out of spite.
It's mostly out of spite, I think. I mean, I don't, even though,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how I
they
took
are
it.
against the ideas somewhat. They are against the message, but it's more about spite than anything. They're not they don't really people like that aren't. I don't think they're quite conscious enough to be fully thinking that far ahead. I think they're thinking much more childishly than that, in my opinion. But I think it's much more like, like
That's
fuck
true.
you. It's more like a
It's
fuck you
kind of
type
some of
thing.
the activist mindset too. There's this
Yeah, like the fucking like the
threat
climate
that they
activists,
want to take down.
like the climate activists that want to go out and throw whatever on people. They want to throw paint or soup and glitter and things like that. They just want to like try to like create some kind of degree of chaos or to disrupt something. It's just troll. It's just bad kind of
That's
trolling.
played out by now. It's not creative chaos anymore. If it's
It's
that
not.
manufactured. Hey,
I mean, like
Mitchell,
What's up, Mitch?
welcome.
the fucking the climate activists and their soup throwing and stuff like that. Like that, I think that might have been when it really fully jumped the shark. I think it's been cringe for a while, but that specific like the Stop Oil Now people are the nadir of the activist movement, because they have taken all credibility away from most activism in general. Like it's just like you see people like doing shit like that, and it's just like what can you even say like this? They're not making a point. They're not getting positive attention for the idea of climate change. And they're like, well, people are talking about it. Yeah, they're talking about it in the terms of like fuck you and fuck your ideas about climate change. That's how they're talking about it. They're not talking about it as like, well, maybe I should really think about climate change. That's not that's it's this idea there's no such thing as bad
I know, but
press.
they have no game. They suck at messaging.
Yeah, it's this idea that there's no such thing as bad press. They really believe that axiom, and that axiom simply isn't a truism. It's just all the idea that there's no such thing as bad press is just it's kind of dumb at this point. Like there's nothing intelligent in anything they're trying to do or say at that point. It's just about attention, and therefore, yeah, in my opinion, he's saying something that seems to disrupt people's plane. What do you mean by that? I think
I
you
think he means
mistyped that.
plan. Yeah.
Plan. Oh, plan. I mean, I guess, but like
Trust
what
the
plan
plan, bro.
what plan does he actually
Disrupt the
have?
plane.
Yeah. What plan does he actually have or that they actually have that he's disrupting though? Because I don't see
There's
his
always a
pot.
plan, and there's always
Yeah.
somebody behind it.
I mean, in theory, it's TML, shedding light on part of the plan, I guess. I don't know.
The plan.
Maybe.
Wasn't it a movie
Probably.
or the game?
There's definitely a movie called The Plan at some point, I'm sure, but I don't know what it is. I now if we're talking about plane, I mean, if we're maybe disrupt people's money plane kind of thing. You can say that. I don't know if you ever saw that horrible movie Money Plane, but it's hilariously bad. How's it going, Mitchell? What's going on, man?
Hey, good man. I don't want to interrupt, but
You're not
interrupting.
I just heard
You're not
Red talking about the
Yeah,
situation earlier, so I figured I'd make myself present and answer any questions.
Oh, the with Machine, with you and Machine.
Yeah.
What was that about? They said that was a few days ago.
No, it was last night. Well,
Oh, last night.
Yeah, him and TML was last night. Him and
Dang.
Bunny and Pops was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
They got into it with him. They get into it with everybody though.
Well, I mean, isn't Pops is actually Bunny's father though, right?
It's Pops. Yeah, I can tell by their accent because when Bunny's on, I think
Yeah.
it's Pops sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, he was advocating for a civil war and physical violence
Oh my
against.
God, they're everywhere.
Yeah, advocating for physical violence against the government, and I just try to help them understand that there are better options.
Did you introduce them to Joshua Jones? Maybe don't let
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
probably shouldn't introduce him, to be honest, but yeah. But
Yeah.
that's such a stupid bad idea. Like in general, like it doesn't. Violence is not going unless you have enough force, and I'm not saying it's a good thing then too either, but I'm saying unless you have enough force to actually, like in a military type sense, actually win a war more or less and take over something, any kind of violence or anything you could ever perpetuate in the name of whatever your cause is only going to hurt your cause unless you can actually take over and win in an authoritarian sense. And that's obviously bad too. So like, I mean, there's no, there's just it's a completely nonsense, like I guess ideology, if you want, you can even call it that. It's ridiculous. The same. I said that we said the same thing to Lib whenever he's come on. He's talked about, like, being part of Antifa and stuff like that, and some of the stuff like that. I've said, like, there, and he ultimately had to agree with what we were saying about it too, because if you really think about it, no one has ever seen, like, for example, like, no one's ever seen, like, damage caused by some Antifa riot type thing, like, cars being smashed or things like that. No one's ever seen that damage, like, been walking by it and thought, huh, they really have a point about social injustice. Like, it doesn't work that way. I mean, you can get attention for your cause, but it's not going to make people think that you're right. It's just getting attention, and bad attention most of the time today. Now maybe maybe if we're going back to the 50s, maybe the whole idea that there's no such thing as bad media, maybe that actually held some truth to it. And certainly Trump's presidency, his first presidential campaign especially, certainly had some elements of that. Like, there was no such thing as bad press for him, because every bit of press he had seemed to feed into, but that's because he was a troll and they were feeding the troll. And trolls only grow stronger when you feed them. So, like, that he kind of almost, he's almost like the exception that proves the rule. I think the rule these days should not be thought of like that. I really don't think that the axiom of no such thing as bad press thing has worked in some time, to be honest. I think there is such a thing as bad press. I mean, think about the thing. I think I've heard the joke many times, like, the most horrifying thing you could wake up to in the morning is seeing your name trending on Twitter. That in itself is kind of proof that there is such a thing as bad press, because just the concept that if you're trending on Twitter, it probably means that your life is probably very close to being over. It's pretty much proof of that.
Reputation anyway.
Yeah, your reputation anyway, right? Yeah. Yeah, or your ability to make a living for yourself, your ability to get a job in many
That's
cases,
true.
I mean, even look at what was it? Justin Roiland, like, was one of the most successful people in the world of animation, like, last year, until, like, those those accusations came out about he got arrested for something that was ultimately thrown out because there was no evidence for it. He was completely cleared of all charges, and yet he's still fired
Oh, is that
from
the Rick and
all of the
Morty
shows.
guy?
Yeah, the Rick and Morty guy. Yeah, he still got replaced he's still fired from Rick and Morty, and his other show, Solar Opposites. And there's a third show that I think he was working on at the time that he was also fired from. So he had 3 different TV, like, network television, or at least, like, streaming network. I mean, one was on Hulu, one was on Cartoon Network, and one was something else. And he got fired from all of those, and basically lost everything he built up. Dude, I'm sure he's fine financially. I'm sure he made enough money. I'm not saying the guy is living on the streets, but I'm saying, but all it took was one little thing, like, where, like, like, a girl accused him of something. He got arrested for it. He got cleared of all the charges. Everything was dropped. I mean, from a legal standpoint, the guy is completely clean, and yet he didn't get no one made an apology to him. Not a single one of the companies that fired him, none of them came out and said, like, we were wrong about this. Like, it turns out that Mr. Roiland was completely innocent. No, he lost everything because of some bad press. So I think that I still hear that axiom mentioned quite often, and I think that needs to change. There is absolutely no sense any longer in the idea that there is no such thing as bad press. It's the opposite these days. If anything, you want to fly under the radar, I think. The Streisand effect has become the rule and not the exception,
Yeah, I agree with all that. That makes sense to me.
Right. I mean, are you guys familiar with, like, where the term the Streisand effect came from? Where that even became, like, a meme, like, concept? You guys know about that? I didn't until I'd heard the term a bunch of times. I had to look it up. It was basically that like, Barbra Streisand. Some people took drone photos of Barbra Streisand's house and her property at some point. I don't know why they just did it, just because I guess they're bored or something. They had a drone.
They're weirdos.
And they put them up on some website, and and like they put them like 4chan or something too, where like they would have been forgotten about within a few days, but she got word of it, and instead of just like letting it blow on by, because it would have, no one would have even known anything about it. Not that there's in it, the photos didn't show anything. They also didn't show anything bad or anything. They were just pictures of a house. Like there was not even any proof that they were her house. There was no proof that they were even her house. It was just, they were just photos of a house as far as anybody knew. And yet, but then she comes out and says that they confirms that they're pictures of her house, and sues the website that had them hosting them, trying to find out who it was behind it, made a big deal about it, and suddenly everyone in the world saw the pictures of her house that she didn't want anyone to see. And like that's the that's the basic concept. It's like she completely like if she had just let it go. So I think the same thing was true with like remember the fappening type thing with all the women, all the celebrities that got their nude photos leaked, back a few years ago. And like for the most part, that would have just gone right under the bridge. People would have forgotten about it entirely if it weren't for all the like Jennifer Lawrence and a couple actresses that made a huge fucking deal about it. And like then suddenly now everyone's seen her tits. So it's like if that was really a problem for her, if she didn't want people seeing her tits, then maybe she shouldn't have made such a big deal about the fact there were pictures of her tits on the internet. Otherwise, it would have been
Gary, cut that out. And iFi, we were talking about you earlier. What's this back to the woods thing or whatever you're going on?
Yes, please, iFi, come and enlighten us about your woods plan or your. What I want to know is like, so basically, what you suggested was that you actually had come out of the woods here recently in the first place. So that means that you were already living in the woods. That's something I certainly didn't know. So
I thought you were in the bunker.
So were you taking a vacation from living in the woods, or like what happened there? Like why are you going back to the woods? You're waiting for Jack and Hank. I don't know that. I don't know that Hank's coming, and I don't know if Jack's going to come online. Come on, he usually would have jumped on by now if he was going to.
He's probably doing family stuff.
Yeah, he's actually got a real family, real life to deal with, and which I relate to entirely. So I know how he feels. That's basically the reason I never went on Talcott or Machine last night. Well, Machine was more because I was getting tired and I didn't feel that great. And I every time I checked on there was like trolls that I didn't want to deal with, so I didn't. I just gave up on it. But Talcott, I was going to go on Talcott yesterday, but I had to go take care of family. I had to go deal with family, so I just couldn't do that. I mean, my wife's birthday is today. I'm letting her sleep in, but she's still asleep. But Hank is always going. Oh my God! Come on, Gary. Don't put that kind of imagery in our heads here. What are you doing? What are you doing, man?
Oh, I thought he said Hank is coming, like on his way to the stream.
No, he didn't.
He is
the other kind.
He spelled it differently though.
I see
that. From the woods we came, to the woods we return. Oh, I see. So you weren't born from your mother's womb. You were born from the woods themselves. So you're like are you what's that Native American like forest demon? What's the Wendigo? Are you a Wendigo? iFi? Is that what we're finding out now?
Or a warg?
Oh yeah, a bag of Wendigo.
Yeah. Maybe he's a will-o'-the-wisp. The only nude of me was when I was 22 and skinny dipping with friends. There was a dude taking them in our group. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
that was back in the day. How was it, a Polaroid?
Yeah.
That's old school.
Yeah,
they used to not even develop new. Like you dropped it off. That was back when you had to drop the film off to develop. And if there was anything in there,
well, there were
they wouldn't even
ones.
develop it.
There were sketchy photo places that would still develop them, but because I used to know a guy that worked at a place that developed anything, and like he told me stories about all the things that all the pictures he developed that kind of like scarred him, and to a degree that he didn't. Same thing happens when you fix computers for people. I encounter that myself. Like you're trying to fix somebody's computer. You're trying to most of the time it's because they've gone to too many porn sites that have too many viruses and pop-ups on it. And but that's not the stuff that'll disturb you. Like, but we're like people's porn habits. Who gives a fuck? But when you see the photos they have, if you dare, like you go. You shouldn't ever do it, but like, and I learned that lesson real quickly. I stopped after a while, but you go through and you're just looking through the basic, where they have files they have on their computer. You're looking for any kind of like virus type stuff, and you click on the wrong thing. You click on something that's like labeled really innocently, and then suddenly you see something that you never can unsee. And so yeah, I mean, yep. I'm just saying, yeah. Anytime there's like something like that about anytime that old analog media that required developing and stuff like that, man, like, yeah, that's there's some disturbing things you can find out about people that you never wanted to know. What did Mitchell and Machine talk about? I fell asleep. I don't know.
What was it?
Ask Mitchell.
I forgot what was the story.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you my perspective. I had to do like a 3.5 hour stream to cover all the evidence of my perspective, so it's not just my word. And because it just got real ugly. But essentially, that's all it started with is they want to like fearmonger problems, and I wanted to talk about some solutions, and they didn't like that.
You typed something in the chat, or this happened on stream?
Yeah, it started on chat, I think, and then I hopped on stream. We had a good conversation for a couple hours, I think. Jack joined. It was a pretty lively conversation, and
Machine said you got caught lying.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that.
Pops.
There's no. I evidenced his lies, and I'm waiting on evidence of my lies, and so he keeps repeating that, but he refuses to articulate or show evidence. He just keeps repeating, "I'm a liar." But
that's because he's in his feels. That's what happens because Joshua Jones has been doing the same thing lately. He can't articulate it because it's emotion he's trying to articulate. It's
I just want the timestamp from when Pops made that comment, the original violence comment. I would like that timestamp to see how it goes from there. Because I was searching for it through like 10-hour stream, so I caught like some bits and pieces of it, but I could use a timestamp.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see Bunny and Pop saying stuff like that, but
I hopped on the stream at 3 hours and 46 minutes, but the comment started with Pops, and then there were like 3 other men that hopped on that bandwagon, and then it carried over onto Machine Lies, and Machine Lies. It was on. It's still up. It was on
Pops' channel.
Yeah, what's that channel called? You can't fool Pops.
You can't fool Pops.
One word.
So Machine says that you said that Bunny and Pops wanted you dead, and I guess that was the that's what he's saying. Like, so I'm confused. So Machine saying you're lying, or Bunny and Pops said you're lying?
Machine saying you're lying.
They're saying they never said that.
What was clearly I showed all the evidence on Mars Life. It's consolidated into 3.5 hours. If you want to watch it, it's MAR_S Life, and you got to use the apostrophe.
Put your link in the private chat, and we'll post it, in the chat so anyone can check it out.
Okay, yeah, I'll try and remember later.
Yeah, it's not come up in a search.
Okay, yeah, I'll try and find it.
The ultimate pro player pop off.
But let me try and explain this real quick, briefly. Okay. Just like essentially how I see it is, Machine Lies is making the claim that I said I was advocating for overthrowing government, and I'm actually the one who has consistently and clearly advocated against that. I don't think that's a good idea, or will go well for anyone. I have, reasons to believe that just because of my experiences with the government, and I would even have reason to be bitter and resentful, but I'm not. It's never going to serve me any good, so I moved past that. And so I think that there are better solutions to dealing with the opposition, and that's stop complaining about them. And if they do you wrong, you make a claim and you move on. And then that was the essence of my stance on it. And so the Machine Lies is standing strong on the idea that I claimed that I wanted to overthrow government or something. I'm not quite exactly clear on what his
Did
claim
that
is.
come from Machine, or did he get it from someone or somewhere?
That came from Machine, and he claims he showed evidence of it, but he hasn't, and it was removed. And now he's in the process of showing it
Re-uploading
again. But I reviewed it, and there's no
Exactly.
evidence. I never said that, and it just doesn't even make sense. It's not even reasonable because I've consistently made arguments, and not a lot of support with my argument on that, but I've consistently made arguments to not fight the government. It's never
Yeah,
gonna work out for you.
that's a sensible argument to make to me. And so it escalated from there, and y'all ended up just
Yeah.
fighting. Damn.
Yeah, and so I just went to a big old fucking big old it's bad for the
You can
YouTube
curse.
algo, but
No, you can. I curse all the time. It's fine.
all right.
Don't worry.
But yeah, so essentially sorry, I don't even remember what I was saying, but yeah, I've been up for a long
About how
time.
it turned into a fight from there.
Yeah, it was just it just snowballed from there, and just a bunch of grown men hopping on that bandwagon, that tribe mentality, hive
That's
mind.
what Tarek and Monograph was doing that the other day. 67-year-old men fighting like they're teenagers after school on the playground.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. We can't. They're
It's
refusing
that
resolution.
infantile regression.
They're refusing resolution, and to me, it seems, I can't necessarily prove this, but I would say there's plenty of evidence to support the idea that it's a concerted effort, and it's just really odd to me. I don't know why these guys want to act like your friend.
Well, look,
And then-
Machine's saying he's giving you a clue about. But to me, saying the government should be dissolved is not the same thing as wanting to overthrow it. And it sounds like Bunny was saying it too, not even just Mitch.
I never said the government should be dissolved, ever.
Oh, well, that's what
I would
he's
like
saying.
to see evidence of that.
This
I
feels
think
like Judge
Machine-
Judy Court.
Machine, do
I
you
think
have a
the
link to
government
that
has
clip?
a purpose. Sorry, I just want to. I've made this. Sorry, Chris. I'll be real quick.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
I've consistently said that the government has a purpose and a place, and a lot of people, if that went away, it would send the society into pure chaos, because a lot of people are dependent on that, and we don't have a system set up. And until we, the people, can take care of our sick, elderly, and young, then they're going to need that system. We haven't taken the responsibility to care for our needy, and so they need the government.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But I mean, like, I think, in my experience with both of you, now I have more experience with the Machine than you. I've known him longer. But in my experience with both of you, you've both seemed extremely good faith to me. So I find I feel like this whole thing is probably some sort of miscommunication error type thing. I have a hard time believing that on either one of you, and like I'm not claiming that Machine is lying. I'm not claiming you're lying. I really feel like this is somehow there's a miscommunication here that's causing this, because I don't see either one of you as
see
evidence
of him lying, it's obvious. I
What if he
presented it on
just
my channel.
misunderstood you?
That's possible, and I'm happy to address that and just let it be. Bygones be bygones, because it's stupid. I have appreciated the value I've found with Machine Lies. He's been a part of my journey, and
It's
I
not
definitely
pinned, Machine. Let me check this out. Oh, to drop the link to what you're talking about.
Just make him a mod.
Send it to me
Give
on
him
Discord,
mod
or you can come on. Let me see on Pop's channel.
Yeah, you don't even have to. If you don't want to come on the show, Machine, just click
can't
the
even
stream
find
and drop
Pop's channel now.
drop it in the private chat if you can just get to the private chat.
It looks like Bunny got banned for like a few hours or something. He made a video like 22 minutes ago.
Oh,
I'm not. Why can't I find Pops?
What's
Oh,
this one here? It's a
grab
Mars
my
Probably Ghost.
live stream. The
yeah,
Redington for the
Mars
link
live
up.
stream. That's
Getting
me.
Queen
That's
songs.
him and that's Mitch and TML, I believe. I'm trying to look for Pops' stream where the original crap went down.
Well, lawyers and socialists are people. The
4
government,
hours, 4 minutes. Okay.
so it wouldn't actually fall. It's just an idea that's held together mentally.
Right.
So, but it's in the heads of the lawyers and socialists, but it's also in the heads of everybody else. So it wouldn't depend necessarily on just those lawyers and socialists. So if you take government out of the equation, lawyers and socialists, who hits the ground first? Don't they fall at equal weight?
I would think.
equal rate? I don't know. It would depend. Like if you're throwing multiple lawyers and socialists off, it would depend on which one hits the ground first. I don't know if there's like any more chance that a lawyer would do it than a socialist. I don't know what's anatomically different about a lawyer and a socialist that would cause the physics to be off enough to predict. Oh, it's a joke. Okay, no wonder.
Yeah, I'm not good with sarcasm either.
I guess he says he put it in the Discord. Do you or he give it sent to you on Discord? Do you see it, Jeff? I don't see it posted in the Discord.
Open panel Friday. You can't fool. Okay, you can't fool Pops.
It said 4 hours and 4 minutes. 4 hours and 4 minutes is what Machine says in the chat there. So let's
Should we
just
play it?
Time. Yeah, let's play it.
Hang on, I gotta change my settings. All right, here I come.
You know, the people are being called into session, the true Republican government, but it's not assembled. And the only way it can be considered assembled and recognized as a legitimate de jure government by the de facto is if minimum of 45 people in 2/3 of the counties in all 50 states, which is not a lot of people, but you know, I don't know exactly what it is. But there's like 3,000 counties.
Right.
So
a little over 3,000. I think it's like, let's look it up. Let's Google that. What the hell? How many counties are there?
So 2/3 of those, you need 2,000 counties times 45 people to assemble, and then the people can be recognized as the republic government. The republic government that Ben Franklin said. You know, when Madam Secretary asked Ben Franklin what kind of government we have, he said, you know, a republic if you can keep it, and that's what we failed to do. We failed to.
It is 3,143. And then there's 100 in the District of Columbia, which we don't count because that's like its own. It's like the Vatican. The District of Columbia is its own.
Should I keep it going, or is that enough to tell what they're talking about?
Is that the part that you're talking about, Machine? Is that it? Because I'm not once again, I'm not trying to take sides here on this. I'm trying to remain an objective moderator for this argument, and I'm not hearing the claim. So if we need to go further, let's go further. But please tell us.
What is that called? I've heard that theory before, that if enough people from a certain amount of counties.
So it's absolutely not growing the government. It's just, as I stated, it's just the de facto government would have to recognize the assembled Republican government that we had. Because it's technically non-existent, because the people have basically fallen asleep after the Civil War, and they failed to assemble. They've delegated all their responsibility to the de facto government. So there is actually no authority. How I see the natural order of things is, you know, God created whatever, you know, what you want to call God created man, man created government, government created citizens. and he who creates controls. And so that's a maxim of law. So essentially, man has no authority over their government. The government has authority over
do.
not really.
You can vote elected officials out of office.
Yeah, but that's not like a authority. Like say that like there's when I'm referring to like for specific example is like a habeas corpus. You can't affect a habeas corpus right now. It's not possible, so that is essentially because there's no authority. And so that's what I'm referring to essentially. So say like somebody who doesn't identify as a citizen. I know this sounds, woo-woo. You don't really get into all sit sort of psyop theory, whatever you want to call it, but I'm giving my perception on it. And so yeah, that's where the territory we're getting into, though.
Are you an anarch?
Not necessarily. Definitely not if it's like described as like lawlessness. I'm all
none of
for
the anarchs that
law
come on
enforcement
here
and laws.
Yeah,
none of the
everybody
anarchs
comes
come
on
on
here
here
that
seem to
they
agree on
identify
what
as an
anarchy
anarch.
is. They all have their own definition of it. And
Yeah,
Neurojack's an anarch, I believe.
Yeah, of a different type than like
I'm not
Liv is.
anti-government. I'm just anti-corruption. I'm not anti-government.
Are you
No,
anti-state?
I'm
We're
not.
supposed to vote out the corruption once it's identified. That's why Trump is such an philosophical moral
I think
issue.
I think they absolutely have a place, and they're necessary. They have grown to be out of control because we haven't taken responsibility. That's how I see it. And
I think
so
that
I
happens
think
at
if
the
we
local
want,
level, which is kind of what you were saying. But I see it happen at the ballot box more than it seems easier to get enough people to field a candidate or vote for a candidate than it is to get them to assemble and go to the courthouse or whatever. Just do it at the ballot box. We're already set up for that.
Right. And they were literally calling for, or Pops specifically was literally calling for violence. Like people need to, go get blood with these guys, and calling for, it's just not something that I can even associate myself with. So when that shit's even mentioned, and that's because of the position I've taken over the last several years, I cannot be even associated with that kind of talk. It will put me in a really bad position.
Oh, right. And
it's
you don't seem like a violent person anyway. Like I would never associate you with that, but somebody does.
I advocate for self-defense, but not violence at all. I'm not for violence, but I do advocate for self-defense. I think you should be able to defend yourself.
You honestly come across like, and I don't mean this word gets thrown around a lot as a pejorative these days or like a negative, but you seem like a very meek person. I mean that in the positive biblical sense. Someone who takes a very Mitch called me a liar and a fraud.
I've never been in a fight in my life. I've honestly never. It's just not my thing.
So so Machine Line says you called him a liar and a fraud like 17 times this morning. Is there any truth to those claims?
Yeah, absolutely. He claimed that I'm advocating for overthrowing the government, and he like totally flipped his shit. He totally lost his shit and stood by this claim, tripled down on it, and I just asked him, still to this point, I'm happy to see and hear the evidence and change my mind, but I'm not just going to change my mind because you said so. If there's something there, I'm definitely willing to take a look at it, but I know my position quite well, and I know I don't talk like that. So I actually
it sounds to me like what this sounds like is that what you said was misinterpreted by Pops and Bunny, I guess, and then and maybe that was communicated to Machine in that
No,
way, and
that's
maybe
not
so.
what happened. Yeah, it didn't get in.
No, okay.
Actually, Bunny tried to set Machine Lies correct in the middle of it and explained to him exactly what happened. And Bunny explained it exactly as it happened, exactly how I explained it to the Machine Lies. And Machine still, he just refused the truth. He refused evidence of the truth. And he wanted to maintain his narrative.
But
And
Bunny was calling you a snake, though. Did he change his mind or something?
I don't think he necessarily changed his mind. And
But
that
he
was
wanted
my
to get the facts
position
down.
is right. And that was another part of it, is I clearly articulated multiple times, even to the point that I had to try and say it in different ways to get them to acknowledge it. But, I clearly articulated that, sorry, I'm having a hard time maintaining my train of thought, but
It's okay.
what'd you say? What'd you just say, Red?
Um,
Oh, the Satanists. Yeah.
the snake. You saying you're a snake, but then he was on the second stream saying, trying to say that's not how TML said it happened or something.
Right. So what I tried to explain to the Machine Lies is my perception of things is connecting the dots, Pops, which is Bunnies in Civil War, and I am saying no, that's not appropriate, or a solution in my mind. And so, getting to the other point, Bunny is saying that I'm serving the devil, and I try to have a conversation. I don't believe in the devil. If I had to describe Satan, I would describe it as the adversary, and really that depends on your perspective. Because essentially, yeah, I mean, evil can be good to evil. So that's kind of how I see that.
Hey, Cynthia.
And so,
Hey, Cynthia, out in the chat.
yeah, so what I tried to describe to him is how I perceive that is, he's calling me a Satanist or whatever, devil, a servant of the devil, and uh, and then his father's calling for, and he's trying to describe, well, he just an extremist. He wants to kill these Satanists and whatever, and he's just they keep trying to blame me for misinterpreting it, and I've just taken it for face value, and so it just got way out of control. Sorry, I rambled, and I'm not maintaining a clear train of thought, but hopefully you're making sense of what I'm saying.
Well, Machine, like Machine, I love you, man, and I absolutely, I'm not, I don't want to come across like I'm like, but I mean, so far it just really sounds like some misunderstandings to me. It does not sound like there's that there's a legitimate like beef here. I don't really hear much of suggesting that there's really much of a conflict, as much as like I feel like there's been a lot of miscommunication or misunderstanding that where I mean, and I understand like where you're coming from. Like you took what he was saying as being a lie because you interpreted like what he said before as being as being one thing, but he's saying that what he was meaning was another. Whether or not I mean, even if you think he misspoke, he's being good faith here on the panel. He's coming in and talking about it, and he's not really talking shit or anything, dude. So so Mitch refused to admit he lied on Bunny. Okay. So so this is the thing where like Machine is saying that you said that Bunny wants you dead, I guess is what he's talking about. That's my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that simple logic? If Father's calling for death on these Satanists, and Bunny's calling me a Satanist, essentially what that is, they're calling for death on people like me.
Well,
That's how I
know
perceive
in Mitch's defense, as many times as I've talked to him and seen him on various panels, he's always advocated that the government hasn't a purpose. He's never advocated to attack or dissolve the government.
Yeah, I didn't
Now,
hear that either.
and what little bit I seen last night, who is it? Hop, the bald headed guy. He was screaming about we need to take up arms, we need to attack the government, we need to overthrow the government.
Which bald-headed guy?
Pops.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it was at that point I said, "Oh, I can't handle this," and I left because that's just stupid talk there. And I think it's possibly a misunderstanding between.
It looks like it to
two.
me in different interpretations of what was said and what was heard. Hey, Cynthia, by the way, welcome.
Hi guys, how are y'all? I just popped up. I had time today, and I know I didn't stay live, so I wanted to pop back up today.
I'm what you said last night.
Brightening our
I
Sunday.
want to interrupt Cynthia, but I just want to say real quick, it just seems to be completely blown way out of proportion. Manufactured drama, no reason to refuse resolution.
Manufactured, yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Who's refusing? Machine?
Yes, because the truth is right there.
I've watched trolls worse than this come on his panel and attack him directly, his family, his wife, everything, and he still lets them back on and maintains some kind of friendship with them. So I can't see Machine being one to keep a war going.
Yeah, it's just completely unnecessary for it to even be going to this point. It could easily have been resolved.
I think it will. I think, give it a day or two to reset, and the next streams, it'll be like it never happened.
Yeah, but I don't think that's
maybe not.
appropriate.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, Cynthia, but
no, you're fine.
You off if you had something to add.
No, you're fine.
God, this is becoming the drama streams lately.
Drama llama.
There's something in the air, huh? Something weird going on.
Something in the water.
Yeah, there kind of really is. It was starting the other day with Joshua, not even on just my stream, on multiple streams.
I don't know if it's so much drama or just a lot of agitation, like a change of vibe or season.
Like in the 60s where everything was just at the end.
Well, I know that someone keeps saying the age of Aquarius has just changed.
Oh, what is it? What is the next one? Pisces?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea.
The Piscean age, which is the supposed age of Christ, because he's the fish.
So I know that it just changed within the last 3 or 4 days.
Oh, so I thought they said we was going into Aquarius.
On my birthday.
No, that was in the 60s. The age of Aquarius.
No, something just changed here.
It did. I know what you're talking about, Cynthia.
And so I think that we're just seeing evidence of agitation.
Well, Pisces is supposed to be one of the most peaceful signs. This is not Pisces energy at all. Unless it's also like the sign of emotional chaos and stuff. So unless
what you need, buddy?
People's emotions are just getting pulled.
Yeah. And so, but I like the agitation, not necessarily in the sense of I like it and crave it, but it just definitely, when we talk about iron sharpens iron, the agitation does teach you lessons. So I'm thankful for the lessons.
I agree.
I don't even know how to read their chart. 21. They still have us in Pisces, which started in the Roman Empire. And Aquarius doesn't start till 2150. That's our grandkids might even be around by then.
What are you looking up?
Oh, Wikipedia.
Then Because other day when I Googled the age of Aquarius, they had like a recent date here in 2024.
Let me look. Is either the current or the forthcoming age, depending on how you calculate.
Oh,
It says there are various methods of calculating, which makes the dates hard to like. One of them has it all the way out to 3,597.
Well, there's definitely change in the air, and we can all feel it and sense it. Definitely.
Yeah, it does seem so. Like I don't know how that works, but I definitely have noticed like a disruption in the pattern.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So
Calcott's still under attack.
So machine.
It seems like it's happening anywhere. Mitch, do you think that it, like you and Talcott, that there's some kind of vulnerability that people pick up on and you become a target for this kind of stuff?
It's a perceived weakness with me, is how I describe it, and so it's an easy target, you know.
Well, I mean, machine. Since you're salty in the chat, man.
But I don't.
Sorry. So go ahead, Mitchell. Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt anybody.
But I was just gonna say it's a perceived weakness is what I call it. I don't really feel weak, and I think that's what throws people off and pisses them off is like when they go after that easy target, you know, that perceived weakness, then they don't get the result or the reaction they're looking for, and that where do we go from there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we'll see if it escalates. I think it'll. I think both of you have the maturity for it to blow over.
Yeah, I don't know
but I don't know what trolls are gonna like try to capitalize on this and keep it going either.
I think it's interesting that you brought up, you know, the weakness. I know last night when I had Jack on my panel, he was in a weak state, and that's a lot of the time that people, when they see somebody else in a weak state, they're gonna really step in on it and go in on it and just like ha ha. But then like I really pulled back, and a lot of people even were, you know, saying like, how can you keep pulling back? But it's not. I don't even know what the right word is for feeling. It's not something I want to live with when I stepped on somebody in that state. Like that's not how I'm made. So to me, it's more powerful and more strength wise. I'm probably not even saying the words right. When you learn to yield back and just allow somebody to meet them where they're at.
That's wisdom. Yeah. I agree. Which it's hard. Like meeting where you're at is kind of an art that you acquire over time. So it's hard for people that maybe have never had to try that before. I'm
not sure what's going on between Mitchell and the Machine Lies, but I myself had my own situation with Machine Lies yesterday. Not necessarily him, but in his chat. And it was a humbling experience. And it was a testament to Machine Lies' character. Like, because I was on some high time hunting, trolling, as somebody else even pointed out to me, like, you came in hunting for somebody. And I never once knocked Machine Lies off of his never once threw him off course of what he had. But it was a humbling experience because I realized, dang, I might be on the hunt, but what am I looking like to other people right now?
Dang. Machine, you're catching it today.
Yeah.
It was
and I was the victim of me calling him names after he fucking.
I don't think, if there's one thing about Machine that I don't see, it's victim. Like I don't think he has that victim mentality. That just doesn't seem like him.
Well, then what's he talking about me calling him names, you know, after he fucking yelling and screaming that I lied and while he's lying, and it was objective.
Machine, come up if you want. We could try to.
It was just
call
clearly
it
bad.
What up, Chuck? Chris, how are
Hi,
you?
Cynthia.
Oh,
Hope
the
y'all
hair
having a
sound.
great day.
Yeah, machine said that it he said he didn't anyway. Mitchell claimed that he's a false teacher and a grifter. Didn't lie just once. He kept lying. They covered the first one. Kept attacking emotional rage. Okay,
You
I
kind of
don't know.
mumbled there. Could you you tailed off at the end?
Sorry, Machine Lie's last comment said Mitchell claimed that he is a false teacher and a grifter and didn't lie just once. He kept lying to cover up. The first one kept attacking emotional and deranged.
What
No,
machine?
and you're right. I don't think you're a false teacher, Machine. I don't think that at
No,
all.
I don't either.
I think that you're very good faith in everything that you've said, dude. I mean,
You're doing it all for free too.
yeah, and but it doesn't sound like. But I don't really feel like. I don't feel like I feel like this is like it seems it really feels like there was one moment where like one person misinterpreted something somewhere, and this might not even be on either yours or his head. It could be this seems much more like something that would be started by somebody like Bunny or Pops. Really, I mean they're much more contentious type people that like to
No,
stir up
he's
drama.
using this as an excuse to bring up past beefs that he never addressed. He was holding on to,
Oh Lord, I didn't know y'all had all this complex of drama between y'all.
We didn't. It involves his, people he considers friends, because all of his friends are through this community. He's like really emotionally
It's kind of
attacked.
like a big dysfunctional family.
Yeah, in a sense. But yeah, I mean, if that's all you got, you're in bad shape.
Well, I think about that every day, truly.
But
I still have faith in it.
Yeah, we're not in bad shape, and it's not so much like we can't
Well,
change.
you got other things in community, Cynthia. You go to church. You go to church. You go out with friends. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm. That's all. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't
You
mean
have a
to cut
life
off.
outside of here.
Yeah.
But this it's a balance, and whether it be in the real life or in this life, these are out here everywhere. They might look differently in the real life versus this life. They may become more intense or not as intense, but at the end of the day, you have to adjust the way you're going to respond to it and correct that behavior. And if you don't have
What
these
could I?
disruptive, go ahead, Mitchell. Oh, he cut out.
I think your sound cut out.
Yeah.
Dang.
And maybe I just feel like sometimes on the metaverse, these lessons are like, we're like, when you go to college and then they have the 6-week semester, this like the supersonic semester. Some of these lessons on the metaverse are quicker.
Oh, for me, it's like a refresher course, like remedial.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard you, Cynthia. I'm genuinely trying to handle it the best I can, and I'm happy to accept some honest criticism. If you have any. I don't know how to handle it any better. I really don't.
Mitchell,
have you slept on it yet? Did you get any sleep?
No.
That's the first thing I would try.
Mm.
And, like reevaluate, not like force yourself to sleep, but once you do sleep, reevaluate.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I like that.
72-hour rule is what I have. See how I feel about it in 72 hours. Now, for me, the hardest part was waiting the 72 hours. Like I wanted to hurry and deal with it and get through with it. But
it's like learning how to distract yourself.
Right.
It keeps churning inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell,
that's where hobbies are good.
Absolutely, where hobbies are great. The one thing that I really like about you when I first met Mitchell, just to kind of refresh the rest of the people on the app, Mitchell and I, we didn't like each other or not dislike each other. We just kind of had an agitation towards each other for whatever reason. And it was nothing he said. It was nothing I said. It was just an agitation. And sometimes I felt frustrated with him because of, sometimes he's easily comes off track. It's like, come on, get to the point, I want you to hurry and get there. I know what I want to say. So along this way of this metaverse journey, I was involved in a car wreck, and it was kind of bad, and I ended up going into the ER. And
my condolences.
Thank you. It was all truly a blessing. But I was laying in the hospital bed, like they were asking me questions, and I was giving them my address from like 17 years ago. And I don't even know how I remembered that, right? Like when I said it, I was like, wait, what did I just say? And I really caught myself, like whatever I thought and was trying to say, something else was coming out. And then it became, well, wait, and then I had to think about what I just said. And then it's like, well, why did I just say that? And so it became harder for me to communicate. And it wasn't so much that I didn't know it. It was coming out different than what I had planned. And Mitchell was the first person that came to my mind. And as I laid there, I said, damn, man, I'm such a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, how could I have, now I understand this a little bit more. So when I started to look at it from that perspective, it was like sometimes people, it's not that their mind is off or anything like that. It's just there's a lost in translation for whatever the reason, whether it be, themselves, psychological trauma effects, the age, the time, the coffee, the caffeine, whatever it may be, it's there sometimes. And you have to really close yourself down and get past, not look at that, but try to look deeper into it. I don't know if all that made sense, but that was.
I have my doubts with a lot of people, but that made perfect sense to me. It's so like spot on accurate.
But I experienced it before I actually understood it.
Yeah, and I have a hard time even explaining it. You explain it very simply, and it's like that's what was that took a lot of weight off my shoulders, because it's like, yeah, I try to explain that to a lot of people, and they just don't get it. But I mean, I have actual cognitive organic brain damage, and so part of the thing is I have a hard time. My brain and my mouth don't match up, and it's so frustrating. I get mad at myself while I'm talking because things don't come out right. Like,
are you talking about your thoughts, like being able to express your thoughts, or your actual physical words misaligned with your mouth?
It was like they can ask you a question and you can know what to say, but for some reason your brain is told something else, and you don't even, like I said, I don't even know how I remembered that address from 17 years ago. And I even gave him part of one phone number and the last part of a different phone number. And like, I wasn't.
Do you remember yourself giving it, or did it just kind of come out on its own?
Well, when I gave it to him, I was sitting there and I was thinking, because I was like, well, hey, that didn't sound right. And then I was trying to remember what I said, but in my mind, I was remembering I said the right thing, but I was recognizing it didn't sound right. So when I asked them, what did I just say? They would repeat it back, and I'd be like, no, that's not it.
Oh, did they have you on anything?
No, they didn't. It was a concussion. It was just the brattle, because the wreck was like, I was hit, then I hit a car, then the 18-wheeler hit me, and then another car hit me. So it was like a lot going on. And so it was just a lot of confusion. And it really,
they're assessing your state of the damage.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when I had my stroke, and they was asking me all of these questions, which I had no answers to. And it was like, it was weird. You could think one thing, and what came out, Lord only knows.
Where did it even come from? Because it wasn't in my thoughts. And like this, they're saying it wasn't even what they're thinking about. You just said your senses or something else miscommunicated, and something else came out.
Our brains are so weird.
Mm-hmm. But when, like, with Mitchell was talking about the trauma with what I experienced with that trauma, what Chuck experienced with strokes, how many people have this trauma that they don't speak about, but we judge them, but we don't understand the backstories because we didn't take the time to look, because we're only looking at ourselves and projecting onto others instead of looking.
Well,
No,
and to me, these last 3 years haven't helped anybody with all
No.
the social isolation.
Like because of lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
COVID.
That COVID, the Rovid, or whatever.
I mean, I've always like what you're saying. Something I've had that I've had that perspective for a long time. Actually, the last 3 years actually diminished my empathy for a long time. I've just recently started becoming like opening myself back up to it. I felt for a little while after the things that happened during the last 3 years. I felt like I needed to completely stop being empathetic and stop trying to understand other people, so like that, because like it seemed like it got me in a lot of trouble. So I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's very true. I mean, it really is very. It's so easy to get locked inside your own head, your own perspective, and not realize what the situation is for other people. It's so and I've in the last 3 years also there's been lessons that I have learned and there's just things that we don't know about in general, and it's not even necessarily our fault all the time that we don't know about these things. Like I for example, I did not really understand what schizophrenia was, and if I had understood that before the things that happened, when my wife went into psychosis, then I wouldn't have been so confused and felt so betrayed, and things wouldn't have gotten so bad. But I just had no idea, and it's like specialized information that you have to you either have to learn it for experience or learn it or actually go out and seek that information out. I only seen schizophrenia in movies. I thought schizophrenia was Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys. I didn't think that it manifested itself in the manner it did. So like I understand what you're talking about. Like then you have that experience and you're like, oh shit, and actually it happened rather rapidly for me too, because like I realized that somebody else I knew that had also been involved in the 3 years of misery and pain that I'd been through, was also likely experiencing very similar type things to schizophrenia as well. And then it gives you like a whole new level of understanding of guilt too. But at the same time,
Right.
it's like it's hard to blame yourself entirely whenever there was like literally no way for you to know that. Like there's no way for you to know until someone teaches it to you or you experience it. And it's very frustrating because on one hand it is your fault, but then it's like, but like you didn't, you're not acting in bad faith per se whenever you felt that way. It's just that you just didn't have the knowledge base to pull from to understand it. And it's very difficult to explain for someone who's going through those type of things too. Like for the thing you're talking about, like what you just explained. I mean, it'd be very hard for someone to explain that to you, and for them to actually understand it when they heard it. It's that would be very difficult to understand. I mean, I try to understand that every time I hear these I see these kind of arguments in situations like that. I really try very hard to always assume what's the phrase, like, to assume good intent in every situation like that. And it's very difficult to do a lot of times because especially in these spaces where it seems like there's a lot of bad actors, a lot of people that are definitely not having good intentions, but that it's still the best possible course of action. Because by not assuming good intent, you are probably, either, I'll stop. But yeah, you get what I'm saying.
No, you're absolutely right. And you do feel that sense of guilt, because I actually felt that sense of guilt for Mitchell. Like he was who I hadn't even spoken to him. I wasn't even around this sector when it happened, but he was automatically the person I thought of. And you did, but then you're right. I didn't even know to try to understand it that way.
Yeah, it's like even if someone were to sit you down and explain it as articulate as they can, until we get to the point where you could, or let's say you have the ability to psychically transmit your experience
Right.
to them. Which, I mean, I'm not saying you can do that. I'm just saying, like, if
Right.
that was possible, then that might explain it. Beyond that, I mean, you'd have to have like an academics understanding of it. You'd have to have like medical training or something to understand that like these things happen, and that what that means. It's pretty much impossible. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's pretty much impossible to the point where it's really hard to blame anyone. But at the same time, I still blame myself for a lot of stuff that I shouldn't. But You know,
Yeah.
even though I know consciously, I don't blame myself consciously, but subconsciously, which I know Jeff doesn't believe there's a subconscious, but I know that subconsciously, even though when when my own thoughts are articulated in my head, I don't blame myself for these things, but I know I still feel the guilt from it. So that's where I consider the subconscious, I guess, in that sense, you know. So
Going back to when you were saying about, how can you really understand? And it's conversations like this that do help people understanding. And it's a dicey road, because there will be people who have nefarious intentions with these conversations, but you have to just trust the process and not allow that to bother you, and continue to have, because this is truly how we promote healing and understanding and conveying messages, and letting people know they're not alone. Like, it's okay.
Well, you like these panels. You guys are a big lifesaver for me because I'm
Oh,
stuck at the
Lord.
house 99% of the time with my responsibilities that I have to my family, like Chris is, and sometimes this is the only outlet to intermingle with people.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's kind of
the
that
same
way
for me too.
for a lot of us, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
I find myself. Thanks, Chris. I find myself depending on it a lot for my social interactions. That it's not healthy. I'd rather go play some frisbee golf. Meet some people. Try to talk to some people out of the grocery store or walking around. Just real life, face to face. That connection, I think,
Mhm.
is important.
I'm better
Sorry.
when I have that balance, and I don't have that up here. That's one reason I'm so miserable.
I like
But
getting into these
when
deep
you
thoughts
do
with
have
people.
that in person, it's good to have. You have the streams when you need it, and you still have some kind of real world community to ground yourself in.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
I'm
people
very
don't
thank I'm very
understand.
no, I just think I'm very thankful to have my family. At least I have my wife and my children. So yeah, at least I have that. But yeah, no, go on, Cynthia, please.
That's funny you say grocery store, Mitchell, because I made it a point. Like, I shop at the same grocery store. I think I've shopped there now for like 10 years. And I know everybody that works at that grocery store, because I made it a point that, oh, hi, your name's Alex. Hi, my name's Cindy. You know what I mean? And I made it a point. And I think so many times that initial engagement that people want, but don't know how to also start. And you, for whatever reason, the other person may want it too, but they don't know how to start. So it's stepping out of that fear. And this is what I want. I have to be the person, because I want it. I need to go seek it. I need to make the first effort. So now I know everybody. I know when the clearance sales are coming down the pike. I know when everything. Like, now I'm in the no. Like, I feel like I should be at the company Christmas party now.
Yeah, I feel like there should be a company Christmas party.
Yeah,
But
I spend way too much time at the store.
yeah,
I do.
Let's be doing this stuff. That was the hangout place growing up, the convenience stores.
yeah. I know what's going on. I know the person that cleans the floors. I know what she made for Christmas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know everybody's business, but I made a point. Hi to every time I see him to make sure I did my part to keep up that communication. I can't expect to want to have these connections, but not do my part to hold them. And so many
You're
times,
probably an extrovert, huh?
no, I'm an introvert, which is funny. Everybody thinks I'm an extrovert, but I
You
have to
seem
force myself to go. But I can only do it for like 2 hours a day, and then
You
I
have a
gotta,
battery.
yeah, and then I
Yeah,
have to come back home and chill for 3 days straight just to
Definitely introvert.
because
Yeah,
a lot of
that's crazy.
introverts would have trouble, I think, with what you're doing it, like the ease that you're doing it with.
Yeah, no, I understand, and that's true for a lot of introverts. I mean, I'm pretty much I'm very introverted myself, but
You are not introverted.
I very much am, like
Oh my
in
God.
real life.
Okay.
Look, you go back and look at the first stream we did, and you see how much more like shy and nervous I am. I've gotten better at.
I know,
I've
but
made
shyness and
myself.
nervousness is not necessarily introversion.
Well, my whole life. I
In
mean,
fact,
growing up,
extroverts probably feel it the
I
same
spent a
amount, if
lot
not
more.
more, because they're doing a lot of the socializing.
growing up, I spent way more time in my room than I did out with friends until I started making myself go out and do that stuff like that. So I mean, I guess I have elements of both. I guess I don't know what you call that, but like I mean,
Ambivert.
There,
That's what I am.
there's was that what?
Ambivert.
What'd you say? An ambivert? I guess you call it that. Cause I mean, like there are times that I am extremely introverted. Like I mean, I get that way about even the panelverse type stuff. Like where like I love doing this show, and I like this. I never feel like introverted when it comes to doing this show. But like when it comes to like other people's panels and stuff like that, I get fatigued from it for a lot of times. Where the point I just can't even like bring myself to like even want to get up and like even go to the computer. It's just like even when it's people's like even people I like and stuff like that, I just kind of want to hide and like it's like I have to fight that instinct to hide in solitary in isolation, stuff like that. And it's taken, and because I know it's not good for me to do that, so I try my best to just. So that's like before the vertigo, how I don't, it's very hard for me to like make myself exercise, but I still found ways to do it and still made myself exercise because I knew I needed to. But it's like it's one of those things where I feel like so socializing is kind of like a muscle. Like you have to kind of work it
So
out.
where
You
you
have
exercise?
I guess
Like
nowadays,
your
yeah.
social gym.
Yeah, sort of. But I mean, actually, I'd say that more about like going on other panels more than this one. This is actually this is
Yeah,
is
that's
like
what
my
I meant. I meant like the whole panel.
this is my
It's all becoming one stream to me.
Yeah, it is. That's true. But this stream is like my home, though. This stream is like my home. Like I feel comfortable here. I feel as comfortable here as I do by myself. But like
This
then
our hood.
yeah. It's like this feels like my living room. Like back when I used to live with I used to have like several roommates and stuff like that. That like after I lived there for long enough, and like because like when I started the first time I ever had roommates, I used to hide in my room in that place a lot, but I still had a roommate in that room too. So that kind of forced me to have to interact with people some more. And then over time, like it didn't matter where I was in that apartment. Like I felt pretty much comfortable at home, even when people came over. But going to somebody else's house, going to a party or something like that, then like I felt completely like I just wanted to go back home. I didn't want to stay. I didn't want to stay out those places. Like I become a total wallflower, and I can seem very extroverted if I'm in my element. But if I'm not in my element, God, I'm like I act like a completely different person. Really, I mean, I just it's getting easier. It gets easier over time, but how about Brick House? And
I'm worried about copyright. If I even thought you knew it.
I don't know Brick House. No, I don't know many cover songs that aren't like weird, obscure indie songs, to be honest. And I would do it. I would play it, but like honestly, like the way StreamYard handles audio, it does not handle audio very well whenever there's like more than one source of it coming from the same microphone. So if I start playing, then it'll end up cutting out the guitar for my voice and back and forth. And so I tried that a couple of times on stream a while back, and then I went back and listened to what it sounded like actually in the recording, and it sounded like shit. I mean, it sounded bad. So like, I mean, like, and I'm not that good in the first place. So like, making me sound that much worse, it's not doing anybody any favor. So nobody wants to hear that. It just sounds distorted and all chopped up or something. But if that would be the one advantage of going to something like OBS or something like that. OBS handles audio stuff like way better than StreamYard does, but that's probably the only real advantage of it, to be honest. I shop
Cynthia,
at midnight.
did you post last night's stream?
It's hidden, but I think Flo's gonna run it.
Okay.
Running back to what not Fatty, but hey Fatty, what Chris was saying about having to force yourself to be extroverted. I didn't have to force myself to be extroverted, but I had to force myself to slow down when I was out, because so many people were trying to talk to me and having conversations with me. But because I was so introverted, I was like, all right, well, I got to go. And I was always quick to go on to the next task I was on. And I stopped missing all the moments. So it
what a
wasn't
humble brag, Cynthia. What a humble brag. I was so popular, I couldn't handle it,
no, but like random people just come up and start talking to me.
No, I know.
And I've always been like, why are you talking to me? You don't see I'm shopping. You don't see this list in my hand. What are you doing right now? But I had to stop and slow down and just even have those small conversations about spaghetti sauce or whatever, and just understood that I needed to slow down and not necessarily try to engage more because I already had engagement. I was just in my own head and not seeing it.
Mm-hmm. That's easy to do.
And Frank, so to be clear, yes, the bad sound was StreamYard's fault because I am not that good. It would not have sounded that good in the first place, but StreamYard made it sound worse. So just clearing that up. And I also know what Uncle Buddy means by he used to like. See, I used to shop at midnight all the time too. That used to be the only time I'd ever go. Back whenever Walmart used to be open 24/7. I would only go and do my grocery shopping at 1 or 2 in the morning because there was nobody there and it was much like less stressful. And you just like the
people
stalker.
get away from me. Yep.
Yeah, but now they took that away. There's no even in here in Dallas. There's no 24-hour grocery stores anymore. So so now I have to go out into the daylight, and hiss at the sun like a vampire. So
do y'all have Wincos?
I don't think we do have any Wincos here. I have seen Wincos, but I don't think we have them here in Dallas right now. I think there's some.
No, they're still. Oh, you're in Dallas. I'm in Dallas. There's still 24. Okay. There's one in Carrollton. There's still 24.
Carol, I'm in Irving, so that's kind of far for me to get to. But yeah.
No, it's really not.
Well, it is
far from
it is for me whenever my local Walmart is like literally less than a minute's drive from my house.
Yeah.
we don't really have any income or money, so I think. Yeah, the money for gas it takes me to go to Carrollton or something is just. Don't be me wrong, you're right. It's not that far. And back when our finances weren't what they are now, I used to have a Prius and one of the ones that got like 50 miles a gallon. I mean, I used to drive all over this freaking Dallas area. I mean, it didn't matter where it was. I didn't care if it was like if I could get to it on a GPS and it took less than an hour, I'd go there. I even if it took a little more than an hour, I'd go to Fort Worth and their suburbs for whatever, just depending on like what we felt like doing. I didn't care, but since budgetary concerns have caused me to be much more it stayed much closer to the house because also the vehicle we have now is a van that barely, I mean, it does most of the time it starts and runs, but it's just doesn't run that great. So I don't make unnecessary trips if I don't have to. So
that wreck I had was on 35, like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the busiest.
Damn.
And it's really traumatized me on highways, but I'm still trying to work.
I bet. No, I understand. I had a wreck whenever I was 19 that put me in like I mean, that was the first time I really knew that I had any mental issues was after that, like the PTSD from that accident. Like I was just I was out in like one of the more rural areas of Texas, and I was on a 2-lane highway where like the speed limit was still like 70, but but there were places where you had to like turn it. You had to turn, on that were places were off the highway. And I was trying to turn into a gas station that was right off it, and I'd come to a complete stop, and I had my turn signal on, and this truck just like slammed into the back of us, and and it was just a miracle pretty much that it didn't explode because like it was in a 68 Mustang, and if you know anything about those, the gas tank is literally in the very back of it right underneath the trunk. So like and you could actually see it on the actual car that the truck missed the gas tank by just like a quarter of an inch.
Oh,
it
wow.
It was that close to just exploding that whole thing. And it was like it traumatized me for a long time. I'm over it now, but I had PTSD from that for ages, so I understand.
Mm-hmm. Now you folks have been in car accidents as I have. Did it play out in slow motion to you when it happened?
God, yes. Isn't that so weird? Isn't that so weird? Like I don't know. Actually, the first one, the one that I just talked about, that one didn't. But the second time I was in a car accident, I was in the passenger seat, and this other girl was driving, and she was pulling across this road, and this truck was going way too fast towards speed, and I saw it coming towards the car, and as soon as I saw it coming towards the car, it totally went slow motion, man. It was so. I remember like that whole incident is taking like it feels like the entire accident took like 20 minutes when it was like 2 seconds. It feels like it took place in absolute like movie slow motion. Yeah, it's a really crazy thing the brain does whenever I think when it senses trauma oncoming. It's like it does something. It records it in more detail or something like that. I don't know what's happening there as a psychological process, but there's something to that.
It's a very strange phenomenon.
Indeed.
Especially, I don't see like the one that I did not see coming. I had no clue there was even a truck behind me whenever the first one happened. So I that one is a little different. Now there are moments of it that are a little slow motion, like after like when the actual impact started, but like it wasn't like the whole incident wasn't like that. But like that second one, like when I saw as soon as like that truck, I remember like not really bracing for the impact, but I remember taking a deep breath before it happened because I knew it's like it actually came strangely calm. That's the other weird thing about it. I didn't panic. I saw it and I was just like, there was like this part of me was just like, okay,
Yeah.
prepare for this, and this is going to happen. Like there's just like this part of your brain that goes, this is happening. Just let it. You can't do anything about it. It's completely out of your control now.
It's a weird phenomena. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And like the girl that was driving, it was her side that got hit. And she was fine. We were both fine. But I remember like she was literally she had a full blown panic attack, and like was like hyperventilating and like all this stuff like that. She was just like she was shaking and hyperventilating and stuff like that.
That's not
and I was,
unusual.
but I know that's not unusual, but me on the other hand, like I was calm as a cucumber for some reason, and I'm a panicky. And the thing is, I'm a panicky person in regular life. Like normal stuff makes me panicky and anxious, but in this case, I was the coolest motherfucker, in the area at the moment. I was like, okay, it's okay, we're okay, calm down, you're not hurt. Okay, now I need you. I'm gonna come over around. I'm gonna get out of the car. I'm gonna come around. You need to scoot over so I can get in the driver's seat so I can get the car off the road. The car was still running. Even though it was wrecked, but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where like it was just like I don't know what in certain situations, whenever I'm in like when I'm in danger, like I'm a really anxious, like scared person a lot of times, but then I get in actual dangerous situations and my whole like demeanor, like I get really calm and really like my reaction time becomes really good. It's like I turn into a much more confident and better person than I normally am. I wish I could be the person I am in panic or in a tragedy mode or whatever all the time, because I would be I would be the most confident person in the world. I would be constantly just like I'd be like this absolute badass, like it's like this guy once can't decide that he was going to try to like come and like try to like he was threatening to like beat the shit out of me and stuff like that, and like I remember him like running at me and like I mean I'm not a very like muscular, I'm not an athletic person. I'm the kind of person that can handle fights, but like in that moment whenever like he came right up at me, instead of like getting scared or trying to hide, instead like my instinct was just stand up bigger and like I just put my arm up like this and was like, go ahead, try it. And like the dude just ran off, and like I was like, and I don't know why. Like I said, that's not my kind of reaction. That's not like the way I am in regular life. Like why would I react like that then? Like it's just like whenever I'm put in a dangerous situation, like it's like some sort of instinct takes over that I don't understand, and it's crazy. Like the time dilation, and always anytime it's like that, there's an imminent danger thing. There's always that time dilation effect. It's pretty strange. I wish I understood my own. It pisses me off too because it lets me know that I'm more capable than I think I am. Or that I normally feel like I am. It lets me know. It's like my brain going like, oh yeah, you could do that anytime. You just don't. So anyway,
I know what you're talking about all too well.
Yeah, Uncle Pat said hyperfocus slows time. Paying less attention to time helps it pass quicker. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that is true. It's like the watch pop that never boils type thing. Whenever you're hyper focusing in on something, it does seem like it takes longer for it to happen. Whereas if you just distract yourself from it for a few minutes, it's like it'll like happen like that. That's true.
Yeah, I've gone from panic mode. If it's a real crisis, I go into, like you said, I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm logical until the crisis is resolved. And then depending on what crisis it was, then it affects me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like even that first time with it with when I was the Mustang, there was like I was with a coworker, this girl that was in the car with me next to me, and after the thing happened, like I was calm after that too. I got out of the car. I actually she said she didn't think she could move. I actually and like I'm not very strong. Okay, I'm not the kind of person that can like just pick somebody up and just carry them like a full size adult. But I remember I got her out of the other side of the car and picked her up and carried her across the street into that store and to make sure she was like okay and like you know you get the adrenaline and everything
Adrenaline. Yep.
the adrenaline like instead of it like it seems like it would make you like you know it'd freak you out or something but it said like it calms you down it makes you think more clearly it's very I mean honestly like if there was a way to actually like synthesize that and like you know and like I could totally see getting addicted to that drug. That's a drug I could totally see getting addicted to, you know. And like if I could be that person that I am in like those crisis situations all the time, oh
All
my
the
god,
time.
I feel like I would never. I feel like there was nothing. I'd be one of those hyper successful people now. I'd be like you know I'd be all of my problems. It seems I probably wouldn't be. I don't think that's really true. But like there's a part of my brain that's like if I could just be that all the time, I'd be like most successful person in the world right now, you know. I know, even though I know it's not true, but still, it feels that way. What do you mean, Redington? There's never been a cheesecake you didn't like. What's that about? I don't like control my desire for oh, okay, never mind. I see now. I'm trying to keep up with the comments too, but like I don't.
I like cheesecakes.
Me too.
Who doesn't? Are there people that don't like cheesecake?
I don't
I
like
don't.
cheesecake.
You don't
I
like
don't
cheesecake?
There
like
you go.
cheesecake. Nah.
Any cheesecake? Like is it like one of those things where you like there's
I
just
don't like
some
sweets. I don't like sugar in general, but cheesecakes particularly. Like even if I do eat sweets, I don't like.
Oh.
It,
See, I'm not big on
it's
sweets
not
either, but I
sweet.
do like cheesecake.
It's cheesy. It's like the
Yeah, cheesy.
cheesecake.
I know what you're talking. Yep.
It conflicts with the sugar on my palate, and it has this weird sour taste to it.
Exactly.
I like it.
I've had bad cheesecake. I've had cheesecake that was not good that I did not like, and I really don't like chocolate cheesecake specifically because I feel like the chocolate itself has adds a bitterness to it that I feel like does not flow well with it. But I've had cheesecakes before that were just like that didn't even have the sour thing at all. They just tasted amazing. But I mean, you know,
What was
I'm
that?
not a big sweets person either. I like a lot of times I'll be in the store and I'll buy like I think it was just Mitchell's phone like was getting an echo for a second or something. I think before he muted it. Yeah.
Yeah, Hank's been talking shit, so I was just seeing it's over there.
Hank? Where?
We're gonna have to start wrapping up soon anyway. We can only go a couple of hours on Sunday because
That's true. I forgot.
Thanks for having me up, Jeff. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
we
like I
appreciate
said,
you
give it
too,
a few
Mitchell.
days and let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's try. I really want to see if we can get this worked
seems,
out.
if I'm any kind of judge of people, which is very iffy, it seems like y'all are both mature enough to get past this and not let it turn into a bunch of stream drama.
If not, maybe I'll find some like I'll find some like some a costume like the judge's robes or something. We'll hold like trial
yes!
on the stream.
Court.
We can have stream court here on the panel
Stream
and
court of the panels.
Yeah.
Well, if
Tribunal of panels.
if my unprovable suspicions are true, then he's doing this on purpose. It's intentional. But
well,
I struggle with the idea that I know another man's intent, and I last thing I want to say, honestly, is, you know, what it does to the other people is it makes them feel the need to pick a side. And I just urge and encourage people to not do that, just to kind of analyze it. I don't know the right words I'm looking for, but just to, you know, observe what's actually happening and being said, not the personality politics.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I agree. That's why I'm not taking a side on it, and I think you guys both seem very good faith, which is why I'm saying that if it comes down to it, we can litigate it all here on the panel. I'm not literally. I was joking with the judges thing, but we can litigate it all. We can, if you guys both come on, we can moderate and make sure that everyone's position is clearly stated to each other. So there's no kind of like, you know, it doesn't. So especially after a few days, you know, after people had a chance to calm down, just like we'll come on the stream, we'll talk it out. I wouldn't. I don't even think that would be necessarily that'd be a good use of stream time as far as I'm concerned. I think it'd be cool if we could actually be a place where people could go to work some some shit out in these streams, because I feel like we already talk about mental health and stuff a lot. So it seems like
I mean, and regardless of what people think you said, you articulate your beliefs today. So we heard it from your own mouth, what you believe.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that opportunity, and also the other perspectives. It's good to. I don't know. It's just you get to feeling so isolated sometimes. So yeah, it's good to connect with people sometimes, and I appreciate the authenticity, the ability to connect with some genuine people.
Indeed.
Well, you too.
All right, peace, guys. Thanks.
Every day.
Take care, man.
We'll be here tomorrow night too. So.
Yep. Same time. Okay. Take care.
Well, I'm gonna follow him out. Thank you so much for having me up on the stream. It was great conversation. I enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we're wrapping up
Thank you.
anyways.
Always
Bye,
good to
Cynthia.
see
Yeah. And thank you
Wrap-
also to Redington and
I should do like
Shotgun.
Machine and give everybody their little screen time.
Yeah. If you guys have anything to say,
Do you have anything you want to tell the world? Hey, how do I even do this? Do you have anything you want to tell the
Lord.
world?
No, just
You're
everyone
like
just
being
be
on the
good to
Walmart
each
counter
other.
in the TV section.
Yeah, everyone just be good to each other. That's all.
Okay, I co-sign that. If you
All
can.
right, we'll see you guys later.
Okay, we'll see everyone
See
tomorrow.
And you Redington?
Oh, how did it do this? Hang on.
I don't
It's
know.
not
I haven't
right.
seen that. I haven't
That's
seen this before.
crazy.
I kind of like that a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah,
what's up, Redington? You have anything to get out to the world? I'm glad you're coming on panels more.
Well,
It
just
adds
like
that
people
other
were
dimension.
saying, what's that?
Oh, go ahead.
Like people were saying earlier about their accidents and whatever. I had one 3 years ago. Mine wasn't technically as bad because I didn't really sustain any heavy injuries from it, but I still flipped my car because I fell asleep at the wheel. So
Oh, God.
it was really strange, but I don't want to go into it very much. The point is that there's definitely more important things to focus on than internet drama.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely
Especially
agree.
what Cynthia was saying about some people, this is their whole life, which I guess I'm part of that too. But this shouldn't be your whole social circle. If you can have anything in person, try to have that too. That's just gonna make you vulnerable and dependent on whatever happens in the streaming universe without anything to balance it out.
Of course.
But at the same time, I think stream. I really feel like that's kind of a place that we found our stream in. I really appreciate the fact that our stream can be a place where people can come and kind of try to figure this stuff out because that's our whole kind of a big focus is mental health and community, and so if our stream is a hub for the community to be able to come to and find a place where they can find a calm middle ground where they can try to work some of the stuff out that happens in some of these more contentious streams, then I think that's actually an actual worthwhile thing to do. It's actually it's not just just another stream. I feel like that kind of gives us a purpose to a degree. What? What?
Yeah.
What's so funny about that? Okay, well, I don't know what's so funny, but okay. Anyway, I guess that's it though. I would just say we'll back tomorrow at 2, and that's that. We'll be on we'll be on Discord.
Yeah, we'll be on Discord later watching shows. So other than that, we'll see y'all tomorrow, same time, 2:00 Central.
Bye everybody. You too, Auntie Dearest.
Bye, Auntie. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. Let me get you your song. Oh, this is the song. Anyway, bye. Good night.